these empties, Lord, as soon as I find where they lay. Tied off them jolly and leaving mines on a long hot summer day. And for every day I'm working on the Illinois River, get a half a day off with pay. Oh, towboat picking up barges on a long hot summer day. Well, I got me a gal in Pekin. She's a good old gal, okay. Oh, she's sitting there waiting by a window fan on a long hot summer day. For every day I'm working on the Illinois River, get a half a day off with pay. Oh, towboat picking up barges on a long hot summer day.
What the hell? There we go. Alright, now y'all can hear me. Jesus Christ. Well, as I was saying just a second ago, and very appropriately, we're still working on getting some of the kinks worked out in this whole thing. We are not professional streamers by any stretch of that word, so we're just happy to be here, happy to be live, talking with you guys. I want to go ahead and bring in my partner, Shane. He is a trooper right now. He's in Laredo, I think. He's a truck driver, and he is joining me on Skype right now. I think I can hear you. You hear me? Okay, well, I can't hear you because I've got you muted, and it won't let me unmute you. That's just perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to happen on the first stream. Okay, Shane, will you do me a favor? Will you hang up real quick and then call back in, and let's see if we can get this figured out. I'm going to go back here. Okay, so Shane's going to do that. Again, obviously we are not professionals at this, not yet at least. We'll find out if we can figure this out at some point, but really happy to be out here in front of y'all. This is something that has been a big dream of mine for a really long time. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a sports broadcaster of some sort. I never imagined it would be in this way, but here we are. Okay, let me get this back up. There we go. Okay, let's bring Shane back in real quick. Shane, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tyler.
Okay, great. I can hear you now, so that's good. I think everything is set up about as good as we're gonna get it probably for tonight. This is stream 1, so a lot of improvement to come still. But like I was saying earlier, happy to finally be here. Happy to get to this point where we're able to at least go live. It's something I've been working on for a few months now, and I'm glad to have Shane here with me. And Shane, I was saying just a second ago, I think you said you're in Laredo, right?
Yeah, I'm in Laredo right now.
So the real dedication here from Shane. What are you doing in Laredo?
Picking up a load at 3 o'clock in the morning and headed to Grand Prairie.
Okay, so no rest for the weary here. Instead of sleeping, he's here talking to you guys. That's awesome. I love that. So you have high expectations for Texas this year, don't you?
I wouldn't say too high, but yeah, I mean, I realistically see the season playing out with the team going 9-3.
Okay.
So we'll run down that.
Yeah.
Later.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess I'm a little higher than some people.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're joining us from the Twitter world right now, you've probably interacted with Shane a few times. He's I would say he's probably a little more active than I am on Twitter, at least as far as the kind of like back and forth shit talking goes with all the, especially if you're an OU or A&M fan. You've probably met Shane on Twitter before. He likes to get you all riled up. But yeah, so anyways, this is kind of a way to get our faces out there, introduce ourselves to y'all, with a lot more to come later on during the season, and really excited for that. But let's go ahead and let's talk about this week, because obviously we're very excited. I know everybody's very excited. It's week 1. It's finally here. This offseason felt like it was 3 years long. But we're here, and we've got football in 4 days. Really 3 days now that it's almost 9 o'clock in Texas. But opening the season with Louisiana Monroe, I guess it's what you would just – it's kind of a cupcake game. But it's still football. And so I think what we're going to focus on tonight is more of the Texas side of things. I am talking to a reporter with one of the news stations out in Louisiana in the Monroe area. On Thursday, I'm going to talk to her a little bit more about their team, what Texas fans can expect to see, maybe who's going to give Texas some fits, things like that. But we are not experts at Louisiana Monroe football. I don't even know if I've ever watched a single Louisiana Monroe football game. So I'm not going to pretend to be that expert. I have done a little bit of research, but I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about that team. So let's talk Texas football, because that is what we know. That is what we're all here for. I guess let's start with QB1, Quinn Ewers. Or at least what we assume is QB1, since we have no depth chart. But what do we think we see out of Quinn Ewers this game? What do you think?
I think there's going to be a lot more good than bad. I mean, it's his first start. He's probably going to make a mistake or two. So fans need to be ready for that. But this is a good team to make that. They make those mistakes against.
Yeah.
Louisiana Monroe, I do know they lost to Louisiana last year.
Right.
So that should tell you a little bit about their squad. They lost a lot of their better players after last year. So this should be a game that Texas dominates, really, start to finish. This is a game that I'm personally not expecting our starters to play more than maybe a couple of series in the third quarter.
Yeah.
So if they do, something has gone terribly wrong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I see this game. As far as Quinn Ewers goes, I think Sark's going to ease him in, and that would be the smart thing to do. Some short throws off that, turn around, give the ball to Bijan. I mean, he's your biggest weapon. He's the best player, and will be in most games that Texas plays this year. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of those games to ease into the year. It's not like a Notre Dame, Ohio State, where you've got to come in and you've got to be buttoned up, ready to go week 1. It gives you a little more room to make some of those mistakes that you typically see week 1. It's a little more forgiving for that too, because you're just not going to see the same kind of competition across the line from you. But back to Quinn Ewers, I think it's obviously a huge game for him, because he hasn't played football, real football in a game since senior year of high school, since that would have been December of 2020.
Didn't even have his senior year of high school.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, his junior year of high school. He spent his senior year of high school on the bench at Ohio State. So this is a really important game just for him, beyond you're the new quarterback at Texas, beyond this is your first season under those kind of lights. Beyond that, I mean, it's just important for him to get that feel with 100,000 people looking at him, taking snaps, handing the ball off, making throws. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came out a little shaky. But what I'm really looking for is probably around the second quarter for him to really step up and start making some big plays, making big throws that you expect to see from a guy rated as high as he was coming out of high school. And one thing you did mention was, Louisiana Monroe lost a lot of good players. I was actually reading last night an article from the woman that I'm going to interview in a couple days, they lost 7 defensive starters last year. So this is going to be a young, inexperienced defense that Ewers will be going up against, and it's really perfect for him to get out there and do those things against a young group. But another person you mentioned was Bijan, and I'm really excited to see what he can do against a team like this, because I mean, this has the potential to open up a Heisman season, a potential Heisman season, really well.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think you're going to see too much struggle in the run game. I don't see them matching up well even with our young offensive line, and I'm expecting to see 2, maybe 3 freshmen start on that offensive line, based on what I've read to this point and what I've heard. So I think you can pretty much cement Kelvin Banks in as a starter left tackle. Cole Hudson is looking like he might get a start in this game. So we'll see. I don't want to speculate too much. We don't have a depth chart to look at. We only have speculation from what we've seen in insider sites and things like that. But I think we're going to see a lot of good things in this game, and there will be some bad. There's going to be a mistake or two. But this is like you said, this is a team to make those mistakes against. Not a team to hurt you with those mistakes. Not like the team we're going to face in week 2.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get those out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, along the offensive line, like you said, I'm looking at if y'all are into the whole depth chart thing. Our Lads is a website that posts depth charts for just about every college football team, and they usually do a pretty good job of getting it right if one hasn't been released yet. And right now they're projecting Kelvin Banks to start along with Cole Hudson, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them out there. And the other freshmen, they're on the 2 deep right now, is DJ Campbell and Cameron Williams, and I'm really interested to see if they don't start, how much playing time those 2 get, because they feel like those are 2 guys that could potentially push for a starter position later on in the year. Now, what's really interesting to me along that offensive line is the battle that I think there is between Christian Jones and Cam Williams, because Christian Jones has been here forever, but I think most Texas fans will agree with me on this. His play for the past few years hasn't been kind of what you would expect from a guy, especially of his stature. And so I think it would be interesting to see if Cam Williams maybe puts a little pressure week 1 on him, because he's similar stature, and if he can come out and he's moving guys around better than Jones does, who knows? Sark may be giving that a second look.
Oh, I agree. And I think I see both of them a lot throughout the game. I think there'll be a heavy rotation there, because Sark is going to want to get a look at Williams in that position. And if Jones is struggling, I wouldn't be surprised to see him start early in the season rather than late. There's just too much talent there. Too much young talent. To keep sitting on the bench when you need him getting reps in games.
Yeah. And another thing that I kind of want to go back, you said, you don't expect to see the starters other than maybe just a couple series in the third quarter to kind of the reason coaches do that a lot is just to get those reps in the second half so that you're not going into the next game completely cold, especially with this many young kids. But what I'm interested to see, especially from the running back room, I mean, it's probably the deepest in the country. I feel pretty confident saying that it is. With Roschon Johnson, immediate backup, it'll be interesting to see how much Sark uses him with the injury that he had in camp. Obviously, we'll probably see a pretty healthy dose of Keelan Robinson as well. But I think Jonathan Brooks is going to be a star player on this team one day. And I really want to see him have a breakout game. I imagine he won't get too many carries in the first half just because a lot of those are probably going to go to Bijan and Keelan. But I want to see how he does, and then I want to see if Jaden Blue maybe gets some reps in their young freshman stud coming out of high school. So I'm really interested to see what happens with those two as well.
Right, and I actually think we'll see less of Roshan. I think they'll kind of maybe protect him a little bit with what we happened in the second week. So I think we'll see more of Keelan and Jonathan in the first half. Actually, I think we'll see all three of the backs. Probably not as much as we see Bijan, but you're going to want to get them reps even in the first half. You're going to want to get those other two guys reps. Change pace. With Keelan's speed. I really do think we'll see both of them.
Yeah.
See all three.
Yeah, I think so too. Breaking away from the football talk for just a second, I am another first-time mistake. We've got this live chat box over there and on the right side of your screen, and I'm still figuring out how to get I think whenever you're on YouTube, if you're on your phone, the chat is below. If you're on a browser or on a computer, I think it's to the right side as well. But where it says live chat, there's a big burnt orange blank space. Eventually, that chat box is going to be filled with y'all's comments, and we do have, well, now we have two chats. It's saying we have an echo going on. Ben, can you tell me what is echoing? Is it everything, or is it just when one person talks? That will help eliminate some of that, hopefully. And then, but our first commenter was Chase Ortiz. He says, first time for everything, my friend. Going to be a good show. Hook 'em. Appreciate the support. Yes, first time for everything. That is what this is. And hopefully some of these things will be ironed out the second time we go around. Hopefully we can get more information on the echo. I'm not sure if it's you or if it's me. Okay, he says it's you. I guess you're echoing. I don't know if that's...
I don't know. I'm actually on speakerphone in my truck. Nothing else on, so I don't know.
It might just be a little bit loud. Yes, Shane sounds like he's on Mars from Hannah. Huh, okay. I wonder if that's a Skype audio thing. Is it so bad that y'all can't hear him? Just Shane. Okay, apparently they don't like your audio.
Fine.
Yeah, man, need to get off speaker. Okay, so maybe, I don't know, maybe put headphones back in.
I didn't like that last time. Let's try it.
All right. While you do that, I'm going to go to the intermission screen again. You just get me for now. Okay, so, yeah. Where were we? We were talking about the offense. While Shane gets situated, like I was saying, really interested to see what happens with this running back group. Also, with the quarterbacks, I know Quinn is going to get a lot of snaps because it's important that he gets those reps in, but it'll be interesting to see what Hudson Card does when he comes in, assuming he comes in the fourth quarter, and then maybe Malik Murphy gets some snaps too. Who knows? I know a lot of Texas fans are real big on him and what he can bring to the table. So I think Shane is set up now. Let's bring him back in. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that got fixed. Ben says the real star of the show, which is me. Thank you. And yes, my buddy Rhett commenting Chad Hand. That is an inside joke that I will bring to the rest of you. One of our friends couldn't remember Hudson Card's name. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but they were saying they need to bring in the other guy and get Casey out of there. And they blurted out Chad Hand, and that was obviously not the correct name. But, points for trying, I guess. So anyway,
I guess so.
Do what?
I guess so.
Not everybody can be as smart as you and I. Okay, so I was saying while you were putting your headphones in, it'll be kind of interesting to see what Texas decides to do with Hudson Card and Malik Murphy as well. Do we think Malik gets any snaps at all in this game?
I think he might. I know the plan is to redshirt him. We might see him. In the second half. Wouldn't be a bad thing to get some reps in a couple games. So yeah, I really do. I think we'll see all three.
Sorry, I muted myself while I was drinking water so that y'all didn't hear
Thank
that.
you. I appreciate that.
So I don't know. Whenever you talk, I'm getting like a bounce on my mic. So I don't know. Maybe picking up through my headset into my mic. Let me try to turn myself down. See if maybe that helps. I've had so many audio issues with this computer, with everything from the video games that I play to this to just hearing things. People are still hearing the echo, so we'll chalk that up to something else. I'm gonna have to wait.
That might be a Skype thing. I don't know.
I know what it is. I think I have you twice on here. That's why. I've got you through desktop and I've got your camera going, so that's gonna be the thing. Hopefully that solves it. Shane will forever be the Martian from now on. You're now the Martian. I hope you like that. That's Hannah, by the way.
I guess. I don't know.
Okay, let's go.
At least I don't live in Amarillo.
There you go. Dang, shots fired at you, Hannah. Okay, so let's go to the receivers, because that's an interesting group with also a lot of depth, just like the running backs. Who are your breakout receivers? Obviously, we know Worthy, what he's gonna do. We know Jay Witt, if he can stay healthy, he's more than capable of being that guy. We've heard a lot about Casey Kane, Brendan Thompson, Savion Red. Who's the guy that you think Texas fans should really be watching out for?
I think it's two, and I'm just going to put this out there, front and center. Jay Witt is going to stay healthy all year.
Okay.
We're just going to believe in that positivity. We're going to have that positivity out there. He's staying healthy all year, and he's going to have a huge year. But I think we're going to see Casey Kane and Brendan Thompson both have big moments throughout the season. I've heard Casey described as, and this, I don't mean this as a shot against Marcus, but it's I've heard him described as Marcus Washington with better hands.
Okay.
And he catches everything you throw at him. Apparently, he's got a huge catch radius. So that's nice to hear. And Brennan, put him on the other side of Worthy, and you've got two guys that can take the lid off the defense.
Yeah.
So Brennan's got world-class track speed, and it translates to the football field, which is rare. But he can get behind the defender in a hurry, and we've got a quarterback that can hit him.
Yeah.
And that's just exciting. So I think we're going to see big things from both of those two this year.
Yep.
Another one that I think we'll see more from, and again, this is another one that's going to stay healthy all year, is Troy O'Meara. I see him as more of he's a bigger receiver. He's more of a possession type receiver, kind of like Colin Johnson with more weight.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing to have in an offense. So and then you're still going to have Bijan catching the ball out of the backfield too. So and Keelan and Jonathan. I mean, the weapons we have on this offense, and we haven't even talked about the
Yeah.
So,
no kidding.
There are so many weapons, and I was actually talking to an OU fan earlier today in DM, and I don't know if you saw that. But we were talking about it, and I asked him, I was like, look at everything we have in this offense. Who do you try to take away? And he said, you have to try to take away Worthy. I said, well, if you do that, you're not stacking the box, and Bijan's going to kill you. But if you take away Bijan, you've got Worthy, you've got Thompson, you've got Sanders, you've got Kane, and you've got Ewers sitting back there just picking you apart. So it's kind of a pick your poison type thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yep. And then, of course, Grace commenting, don't forget Ajayi Hall when he gets back. Still don't know when that's going to be. I don't know. I think
we don't have a depth chart.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe that's Sark's real reason for not putting out the depth chart. He doesn't want the media firestorm for not, kicking a guy off the team for knocking a parking boot off of his car. I'll never understand some of the Texas fans on Twitter that are like, he needs to be gone. And I'm convinced they're Alabama fans posing as Texas fans, because Alabama fans just hate the guy so much. And
or Aggies or Sooners.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the tight ends then. Ben says he thinks they're going to be a bigger piece in the passing offense. I agree, and I think it's something that we have missed tremendously, really, since Cade Brewer left, because he was a big part of our passing offense. And man, I'm excited for what we've got. Jatavian Sanders, Billingsley too.
Don't forget Gunnar Helm.
And Gunnar Helm. I mean, all big bodies, guys that you heard Sark say last night in his press conference that the whole group looks more athletic than they did last year. And that's exciting to me, because with the way football's going now, it's not enough to just be a big body at tight end that can, run around out into the flats, catch it, and, knock a guy over too. It's not enough to just be a presence in the run game or just in the red zone. You've got guys that are tight ends that are basically another receiver, and I think that's, especially with how Sark likes to run his offense, I think that's going to be one of the most important pieces this year in the passing game success.
I would agree, and if you look back at the last year that Sark was at Alabama, he had Billingsley and he used him flexed out a lot. That was the primary use for Billingsley. He flexed him out like another receiver. So I think you're right on. I think we're going to see a lot more from the tight ends in the passing game. And I don't think it's fair to Cade Brewer to compare any of these guys to him or him to them, because they're completely different tight ends. All three of the tight ends on the roster now are completely different from what Cade Brewer was. Cade Brewer's a big body, very useful in the run game, but he can catch the ball too.
Right.
The tight ends we have now, I mean, they're weapons of the passing.
Yeah.
All day long.
I mean,
Jatavian Sanders, I will never forget that one-handed grab that he made in a playoff game. I still can't believe he just reached up and palmed that ball as it came.
Well, and to that point, I don't know if it was Sark or if it was one of the players, but I remember somebody saying in a media availability that he might. It was Sark, because he said he didn't want to piss off Bijan or X. He said Jatavian Sanders might have the best hands on the team.
And that's just with one hand.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's really fun to sit back and think about everything that Sark could do with the weapons in this offense. As long as the offensive line can be serviceable and give viewers just a little bit of time, we're gonna have a lot of fun watching this offense. I've heard plenty of people, as you know, I listen to ESPN radio in the mornings religiously when I'm driving, because that's when I drive. But they talk about Texas, and the first thing they go to is they think this offense could be one of the top 5 in the country. That's from 3 or 4 different shows that I listen to in the mornings. So I mean, that's exciting to hear. The question everybody has is the defense, and I think that's fair after what the defense did last year. But the offense didn't help the defense, and I think that's going to be the first difference we see this year.
Yeah, no, that's a huge point, and I think that a lot of people like to look at the stats from last year and just say, "Oh, our defense was terrible," or Texas couldn't stop the run all year, or they couldn't get to the quarterback all year. But what you don't see in a stat box is, well, the offense went 3 and out 5 possessions in a row. So of course the defense couldn't stop the run. They're gassed. Of course they couldn't get to the quarterback.
Yeah,
they've been rushing the passer for 15 of the last 25 plays, going full speed. They're tired.
When your defense is on the field in the second half, an average of 7 minutes more than it is in the first half, that's a huge problem. Yep. And that causes your defense to wear down in a hurry, and that's what we saw this
year. Reading through the chat again, Chase says, could Sanders be the next Jermichael Finley if he has all the right development? Certainly has the attributes for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Shout out Jermichael Finley, East Texas guy right there. I love my East Texas guys. I only spent 6 years out there, but I'm very, very much love my time there. But yeah, I mean, looking at Jermichael Finley, it has him listed at 6'5", 247. I don't know if that was his NFL weight or if that, if he was like that kind of his entire college career too. But Jatavian Sanders right now is 6'4", 249. So that's a pretty damn good comparison, just looking at height and weight. And as far as the hands go, I mean, he's got that too. Jermichael Finley was a monster at Texas.
Right, and I see a little bit of Finley's game in Sanders, but I also see a little bit of Jermaine Gresham.
Yeah.
And I hate bringing up OU players. But,
well, if you're going to bring up an OU player, you might as well bring up a tight end. That's probably the next best thing other than offensive line.
Right, even though they call themselves QB. But yeah, I mean, I see a little bit of both of them in Sanders, and that's not a bad thing at all. Because both of those tight ends were productive and went on to play in the league. And God, I'm excited to see what this tight end room can do. We're not even really talking about Billingsley or Helm that much, and both of those guys are talented as well too. So, and I can't wait to see what all three of them.
Yep. Okay, well, we talked about all the good things. We talked about this offense, which I think will be one of the best in the country, no doubt. Grace brings up a good point. The change in coverage philosophy will help the D-line for sure, and I think that's a good way to transition to the defense. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking for in this first game is the press coverage. And I think if you're a Texas fan and that's not one of the things you're looking for, you're wrong. Because how many times have you watched a game and it's 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 3, we need a stop to get the ball back, go down, score, take the lead, whatever it is, and a 5-yard stop route beats us for a first down. Or a receiver releases off the line, the quarterback zips it out to him, he catches it and falls forward for a first down. I mean, it happened all the freaking time, and it was the most frustrating thing in the world for me. I played corner in high school, and I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody I was just like a good corner because let's be honest, I'm 5'7" and I'm white and I'm not that fast. But like at the same time, I can appreciate good coverage, and I can appreciate guys that aren't scared to get up on the line, get nasty with a guy inside that 5-yard like pad that they have. And I'm really excited to see what they do, especially considering the players we've got out there.
Right. And I'm excited to see the difference in coverage philosophy too. I know we're going to be up close to the line. I've heard talk that we're going to play a lot more man coverage than we have in the past, which is exciting. We've been begging for that. Press man at that. We've been begging for this, and I think that's a little bit of Gary Patterson's fingerprints on the defense right there. But I played defensive end. And funny story, I actually played for Jeff Levy's dad.
Oh, nice.
At Dublin High School. So, played defensive end for him, and it all starts up front. The defense has to work together. It's not just the difference in coverage. If we have to be able to get pressure. If we can't get pressure, the coverage isn't going to make that big of a difference. and I think the changes that we're going to see this year, the biggest one for me is going to be up front. I think we're going to see Byron Murphy start. I think we're going to see Barron Sorrell start. I think we're going to see Ovi and Ethan Burke rotate a lot, which is exciting. I hear Coburn has slimmed down and is faster than he's ever been. You know, Devondre Swift, that big body in the middle. Vernon Broughton, another big body we can plug in. Mora Ojimo looks like he's going to start. All these things are exciting. I love seeing that. And then you put the linebackers behind them. You got Diamante Tucker Dorsey. He's been on fire in camp. And Jalen Ford and DeMarvion Overshown. I think with the addition of Tucker Dorsey and Jalen Ford stepping up, I think you're going to be able to see, and I've heard this term used more than once when it comes to demo, and that's being able to be amorphous, being able to line up almost anywhere and come from anywhere, being able to use him different ways, use his speed, use his athleticism, and use him more as a pure rusher.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get him back into coverage, which is not his strength. His strength is rushing the passer. So we saw that in the Oklahoma game last year. He was shot out of a cannon, and that was when he was the most effective getting to the quarterback. So I'm excited to see that. But the main thing I'm excited about is what I've heard about the way the defense has been performing. I've heard front to back and back to front they're communicating. They're working together. They're not trying to do too much by themselves. Not doing their job, trying to do somebody else's.
Yeah.
So, and that caused you to get out of position, and that's where we got gashed. So, combine that with being on the field 7 more minutes in the second half, and yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. So, if we can clean those things up, I think the new we started this year, the additions we've made through the portal, Watts at the other corner opposite Jameson, I think it's exciting. We're going to have a lot of fun watching this team play this year.
Yep. And for anybody who just watched what happened, Shane, I know you were completely unaware of it, but you just shrank down to like a half-inch by half-inch square. I think what's happening.
I've never been that small.
I think what's happening is maybe, I don't know, your service is going in and out or something, but yeah. So it fixed itself. I don't really know what's going on with it, but the most exciting thing for me with this defense is just the experience that we have. You know, we talked about the offense and we expect it to be a really good offense, but it's almost everybody that's starting on the offense are underclassmen, and everybody that's projected to start, at least according to our lads, is junior or higher. And what'll be really exciting for me is most of these guys are from one of the first recruiting classes that I really paid attention to whenever we started this whole thing. And so I'm excited to see where they've, kind of progressed. This is the senior class now, is this DB class that was supposed to be, one of the best of all time in recruiting. And it's exciting to see guys like Anthony Cook and Deshaun Jameson with their names up there and showing out. And then, I think the transfer portal really helped Texas with depth on defense. But I'm really excited to see. This isn't a depth thing. He's projected to start. Ryan Watts from Ohio State. I'm really excited to see what he's able to do. And I think he's a big part of Sark being comfortable moving to more of a press defense, press coverage, along with Anthony Cook, and Deshaun Jameson as well. I also want to see what Fink can do. I want to see what Justice Finkley can do. I feel like this is a game for him to get a lot of snaps. Probably, I think we see a decent dose of him in the first half as well. But yeah,
I think we're going to see Finkley play a lot.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think so too.
Another thing I saw earlier today, if Jade Barron, I don't know, maybe he picked up a little bit of a nagging thing during either the mock game or practice earlier. Um, but if he's not full go, if he's not 100% on Saturday, we could see Jalen Gilbert start. So that's another young, athletic, long safety that we could plug right in.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That's not a bad thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the biggest question is just this, what's the development? And I think the defense this year is kind of going to tell you what kind of developer Sark and his coaching staff will be for their time at Texas. All of these guys were big names coming out of high school, except for maybe OV, because I didn't really follow his recruiting. I know he came from Notre Dame, so he had to be at least worth a shit. But all of these guys are big names coming out of high school. For the most part, haven't lived up to the expectations that I think you would set on them coming out. So it'll be really interesting to see where these seniors are at now versus where they were as juniors. So on and so forth with the rest of these guys. But I think, like I said, if you want to know what kind of developer Sark is, pay attention to the defense. If this defense is worlds better than it was last year, then and I think that means early if Sark's the guy. If they look like they've taken a step back or they haven't moved forward, then I think that's a red flag. You kind of got to look at that and think, well, what are we doing here? Is this a coordinator thing? Is this a Sark thing? All kinds of things to look at with that.
And I don't know if it's even. I don't know if it's even so much a referendum on PK.
Yeah.
Because and that's got to be a weird situation having Gary Patterson walking the halls when you're the defensive coordinator. And everybody outside the program is wondering, so does Gary Patterson take over if BK falters?
But I wouldn't hate it.
That'd be all right. But
yeah.
Nothing against PK, but if he can't get the job done, let Gary Patterson have it.
Right. Yep. A lot of love for Alfred Collins in here too. People say he needs to play inside. He played out of position last year. Chase thinks Collins will show out this year for sure. Still remembering that big Paul interception against Colorado. Dude is gonna ball out this year. Yeah.
I could see him in a defensive end spot. He's got that build. He's tall. I don't think he carries as much weight as maybe Broughton or Aljamo or Coburn, even Murphy. But I think on the outside of that down, either 3 down or 4 down set, he could be very effective. I do think we'll see him play quite a bit. I don't know how he's doing coming off of the injury he picked up at camp, so I don't know how much we'll see from him this week. But throughout the season, I think we'll see him a lot.
Yeah. Hannah's asking, do we let the starters get more playing time this weekend on defense? I don't know. But here's the thing with the defense is I don't know who you consider a starter. I think that's a relative term for the defense. I think there's so many guys that are like, I think if we did see a depth chart this week, I think there would be an or next to almost every single name on the depth chart where the starters is, except for maybe like
pretty much
Overshone, Coburn, Jamison, and Cook are probably.
I don't even know if Coburn is going to start.
Yeah, he's projected to on this, but
I think Byron Murphy's going to be your starter.
You think so?
I do. Yeah.
They've got him listed as a 3 deep, but like I said,
Byron Murphy has been labeled as my favorite label of any defensive player, but he has been labeled as a problem.
A problem in a good way.
Yes, he's the type of player. He plays with great leverage. He plays with great pad level. He gets underneath blocks. He gets out of blocks, and he can put pressure on the quarterback from that nose tackle position. So that's everything. That's what I've been reading and hearing about Murphy is he is pushing for that starting spot. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it.
Yeah. And Hannah's giving me sass saying we don't know any starters. We don't know any starters, but we know any starters.
We have a pretty good
yeah. there's an idea. But I mean, yeah, I think
we know a lot more than her boy Billy.
Yeah. Hey, easy now. I met the guy. He's not bad. I know it's going to take a little more convincing for you, but I think to answer your question overall, like I think the team that gets sent out there as the ones will probably get more reps than the guys that are considered the twos, just because I think Sark's going to kind of want to know. Shane, you talked earlier about how Sark had said all of these guys are working as a unit instead of just 11 individuals. And I think he wants to emphasize that on the defensive side of the ball more than anything. So he's going to want to have that set of 11 guys. But I think this week is where we're going to kind of see that 11 start to mold and see a lot more shifting in these metaphorical depth charts that we will never see, which I'm sad about because I love breaking down depth charts. But I'm not going John McClane on it. That was hilarious last night. I don't know if you saw all those, but
I did. And if you're going to support our Browns after what happened,
right?
Yeah. Now shut up. Anything else that happens at school.
Because depth charts is where he draws the line, but covering up rape in mass is not. That's okay as long as it's his team doing it, right?
Have I mentioned that I hate Waco?
Oh man.
So, but I do think I think it's important for the starters on defense, whoever they are, to see more playing time. To answer Hannah's question, I do think that's very important, especially after what happened last year. You kind of want them to get that time together as a unit in a game. You want them to get that taste out of their mouth. You want them to have some success, especially when we're going into what we're going into the second week.
Yeah.
And I keep harping on that because it's just there. And it's hard to ignore. And we'll talk about that game later, but I do. I think it's important. I think it's a good thing to get them more time on the field. So hopefully nobody gets hurt. That's the last thing you ever want. But with the way we've recruited, with the 22 class, there's a little bit more depth there. Some of the depth is not ready. But I still think you have to get these guys more time.
Yeah. And then as far as this week goes, like we talked about earlier, the ULM defense is replacing 7 starters. I also read that the offense is installing an entire new system this year. So that'll be interesting to see both how, just if you're a football fan, it'll be interesting to see how the ULM offense adjusts to that. But it'll also be interesting to see how Sark game plans for it and what changes he makes throughout the game, or PK or Gary Patterson, whoever's calling the shots there, or if you are into the conspiracy theories, what the big money donors decide to call defensively. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just thought that was an interesting little piece of information there that they installed an entire new offense. Apparently, I think.
Well, didn't Louisiana do the same thing last year?
I don't remember. I
think they did. I think they installed an entirely new offense one year to the next with a new offensive coordinator coming into the Texas game last year.
Well, it didn't work out for him, at least not against us.
No, it really didn't.
So this is okay. My dad's commenting here on the depth chart drama. 2 deep rosters don't, and this is he used to be a coach. My grandfather was a high school football coach forever, so I don't want to say his word is like bond, but he kind of knows what he's talking about a little bit. He says 2 deep rosters don't tell you anything. What do you do when you have to shuffle and your number 3 guard has to play? That's what matters. Yeah. No,
That's
that's a good point. And Sark talked a lot about that too. Is Texas Homer broke down everything in his last video. Can never count out any team, but it seems like it's going to be an easy game. Yeah, I agree, Chase. But one thing that kind of going off of what my dad said is what I'm interested in seeing is what happens when something like that breaks down. How does the team respond to any kind of adversity thrown their way this year? Last year it wasn't good. I mean, I think we completely just shit the bed for the rest of the year after the OU meltdown. We were rolling into that game, and then kind of just broke down. We blew a big lead, and it just didn't feel the same for the rest of the year. And it doesn't really seem like Sark has a lot of confidence in it, which I guess it's hard to have confidence until something goes wrong. But just based off of how he sounded in his press conference, it seemed like we're gonna have to wait until something happens to figure it out. So I think that's a big storyline to watch.
That's the only way you're gonna know. You're never gonna know how your team's gonna respond, especially when you changed 38% of that team from one year to the next. You're not gonna know how the team's gonna respond until something bad happens. So I would agree. There, it's hard to put a finger on that.
Yep.
I think his answer was pretty much right on with it.
Yeah.
With how you're talking about it.
Yep, that is more than fair.
But you were talking about the struggles last year on defense, and we talked about it. It's you have to play complementary football, and we did not do that last year at all. And that goes back to there's so much going into it. I mean, Case's hand. I feel bad for the kid because we didn't really have anybody that could step in there for him. You had Hudson, but I mean, I think after the Arkansas game, Hudson was a shell of himself. So that game broke him. I don't understand. I can't really understand it because he wasn't that way in high school.
Right.
He balled out in high school. He handled diversity in high school. He just didn't do it last year. And now he's, he got beat out for the job by Quinn. And good on him for staying. You never want to see a good transfer, especially in the fall. But, there was just so much that went into it. And I don't know if it was all the OU game that broke the team. I mean, there was more. Kids that didn't want to be here, kids that didn't want to do their jobs, kids that didn't want to buy in, or maybe they were just done and needed a fresh place. And Sark gave it to him. We saw that in the offseason. Yeah, he told him, "Go, bye. If you don't want to be here, I don't want you here." And I want that out of our coach. I don't want him coddling the upperclassmen just because they're upperclassmen. Not giving the younger guys a shot. So I'm optimistic that things are going to be different this year. Of course, we won't know until I guess week 2.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out pretty quick how they bounce back from adversity. Because I mean,
it's a mighty big elephant.
Yeah, good one. I mean, it'll be interesting to see week 2 how they respond. I mean, even if you go out and you beat Bama, at some point in that game, there's going to be adversity. Whether it's Bama jumps out to a big lead. If I know anything about Texas football, we'll jump out to a big lead just for the hell of it, and then we'll let them battle back into the game. And then at that point, that's when you need to respond.
Don't remind me about last year.
Or what about LSU a couple years ago? Remind you of that one too?
No. I can't. I told you last night I can't even watch it. I can't. That hurts.
I know. I can visualize certain plays of that game still.
3rd and 7.
Okay, well, I guess let's get into I probably call it the last portion of this stream, just because We've already been going an hour. It's pretty good for our first stream, I think.
Doesn't even feel
I
like
know
that long.
it doesn't feel like it's been an hour, maybe 20, 30 minutes, but let's do, I guess, season predictions. I hate season predictions because it's so hard to get an idea of what the team is going to be. And it's just 3rd and 500 miles. Yeah, no shit. It felt like it.
Thank you so much, Todd.
Yeah,
Orlando.
right. I hate doing season predictions because you don't know what the team is going to be. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to get hurt. Obviously, we hope it's nobody, but you never know. But we're going to do it anyways because I am a glutton for punishment. And I like to be on the record so that people like Blink and Riley and all of the OU and A&M fans can come back in December and be like, "Hey, dumbass, remember when you said Texas was going 9-3 and now you're 5-7 again?" It drives our interactions up on Twitter, so appreciate it.
It sure does. I mean, we've got so many followers.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I think we've both got Louisiana Monroe as a win.
Yes.
I think Texas takes care of business pretty handily. I don't think it's as bad as some of the like the Rice games have been of past, but I think
38 and a half point
right.
And I think we cover.
Yeah, I think so too.
Easily.
I think so too. I think 38 and a half. I mean, that's a big spread, but I think Texas covers that just off of offensive firepower alone. I mean, if they really wanted to, I think they could put up more than 100 against Louisiana Monroe, but I don't think we will because there's more important things to do, like get your twos some reps. But all right, week 2, Alabama.
14.5 point underdog.
14.5. Okay, I think we cover that.
As of last check.
I think we cover 14.5. I see this being somewhere.
Some books have it at 17, but I think it's 14.5 on ESPN.
Okay. I think it's somewhere. I think Texas loses that game, but I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of 7-10, not 14.5.
Yeah, I'm with you that we lose the game. I'm also with you that we cover the spread.
I think it could be something where, if it is 10, it feels like it's going to be somewhere between 7 and 10. And if it's 10, it's 10 because we were down 3 and Bama scored to put them up 10, and we didn't, we weren't able to score again before the clock hit 0. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout because we tend to show up for these kind of games.
Well, and you and I and Hannah have talked about this. In my travels, I've run into several Bama fans, and several that have been following Bama for a long time. You see some of these older guys in the trucking industry. So they are expecting Texas to give them one hell of a football.
Yeah.
A lot of them are actually they're really paying attention to everything that's happened in Texas camp. They're paying attention to what's going on in Austin because they really do think highly of Sark. They really respect him. They think he's going to be ready for them. They think Texas is going to give him one football.
Yeah, I think we will too. Okay, so a couple of people have commented their predictions. They're going full season. We're breaking it down game by game real quick, but you shrank down to a tiny box again. So my Aunt Courtney commenting, my uncle says 7 and 5 at best. He hasn't always been the biggest optimist though. Clearly not as big of an optimist as I am. So he says 7 and 5 at best. Hannah says 8 and 4, and then she says we cover the spread. I'm not sure if that was against Louisiana Monroe or against Bama, but Hannah's prediction is 8 and 4. And yes, Hannah, your opinion matters too.
Hannah, what is your prediction for Oklahoma season?
Wait on that one. Y'all's A&M and Oklahoma predictions crack me up. Chase says 10 and 2.
Oh, you saw what I put in the group chat.
Oh yeah, earlier. I know. She says Bama. Oh, that's for the Bama spread. Okay. Chase says 10-2. We get over OU this year. Alabama in the first, close loss, and OSU is a trap game in Stillwater. We got Baylor at home, so I think we pull that one out. KSU always a sleeper game too. I don't know. I don't think you can call Oklahoma State a trap game necessarily because I think they're going to be a pretty decent team, and it's in Stillwater, and that's never. I don't think you can ever consider a game in Stillwater a trap game.
You know the weird thing about us in Oklahoma State?
What's that?
We always win in Stillwater. They always win.
Yeah. I was at that 2017 Texas and Oklahoma State game where Charlie Strong got bumped. Or was it 2017?
Oh God.
2016 maybe, whatever year that was. We're out for vengeance.
I think it was 16. Could have been 15.
I don't remember. I know I was in college, and maybe it was 15 because I think I was a freshman in college.
After the shit they pulled the last time we were in Stillwater with yellow bars on the screen behind the goalpost.
Well, just got to expect that as Texas. Okay, my dad says if we go 8-4, I'll be happy. 7-5 is realistic. I think 8-4 is realistic. I think if we go 8-4, then it's kind of like how Tom Herman was in year 2, where it looked like, okay, we're kind of building something here that's better than last year. But I think that's realistic. I think if we go 7-5 with the weapons just we have on offense, I think that's a little disappointing. Of course, a lot of this hinges on what the offensive line looks like and what Ewers looks like. And if both of those are not up to expectation, yeah, I think 7-5 is definitely realistic. But I think 8-4 is the more realistic projection there.
I've gone up and down the schedule, and I really struggle to find where the fourth loss would come from. And that's why I've said 9-3 all along. I just, Texas Tech, we're going to Lubbock, but they're, new head coach, new system overall, and they just don't have the talent.
Yep.
Overall that Texas does. So I think talent wins out there. Of course, we are their Super Bowl. We always are. And they always get up for that game, but they were up for it last year, and we hung 7.
Yeah.
So,
well,
with Casey Thompson.
The other good thing about the Tech game is I'm going to be there in person, and historically, me being at Texas games equals a win. The only game Texas has ever lost while I was in attendance, let me make sure this is factual. I'm pretty sure this is right. Is the Texas Bowl against Arkansas in Charlie Strong's first year, which was one of the worst performances ever. We've won every other game I've been to. There was a Texas OU when I was like 10 that we lost, but that was in the waning years of Mac Brown. Hannah says, me too. Well, then, Hannah, me and you need to be at every game this year. I will ask Corey if that is in the Big 12 country budget. And my buddy Rhett, who is a Tech fan, I didn't know he was even still in here. Yeah, right. It'd be a surprise to me too. My buddy Rhett is a Tech fan, and he says you've never been in attendance in Lubbock. Well, there's a first time for everything.
I have actually. I was at the game where Cliff Kingsbury just went off on us, and it was in the Mac Brown area. In fact, Kendall Browse was on the Texas roster at the time. But I was there I think it was in the 14th row in one zone. And I remember vividly their student section ripping the bleachers up and passing them up over their heads in the fourth quarter because they were winning the game.
God.
And then a couple of Tech fans, students, I think, trying to take a swing at me on my way out the stadium. So, because I was wearing burnt orange. No, it's Lubbock. It happens.
Right.
So you got to be ready for that if you're going out there.
Says, of course I'm in here. Got to support you and stick up for my boys out there in Lubbock. Appreciate the support, but it's still fuck your boys in Lubbock. Okay. Speaking of Lubbock,
Lubbock's such a shithole.
The UTSA game, I think that's a win, and I think
UTSA
it's not going to
be way too much.
Yeah, they lost so much, and Sincere McCormick is like losing that is like us losing Bijan Robinson and then trotting out a bunch of 2 and 3 stars to try and continue having the season we had
Love Jeff Traylor. Think he's doing great things with that program, but they're in trippy.
Yeah, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. They were ahead of schedule last year, and I think this year will kind of be more of a gauge of where they should be. So I think for that game, 17-point spread is probably fair. I don't think we'll get that. It'll probably be closer to like 8 points. In which case I will be hammering that line for sure.
Yes, 100%.
At Tech, I don't know. I mean, I feel very confident.
I think we're going to hang another 7.
Rhett also says, bottom line, we cover over hits. And that's funny because last year he came to the game in Austin with me, and he bet that Tech would cover and the over, and the over was something crazy. It was like 82 or something like that. I was like, fuck that. I said, don't bet the over. That's insane. It's never going to happen. And it's funny because my betting advice was don't bet the over, but that shit hit by a mile. But they did not cover. So
105 points scored in that game.
Yeah. You know what? If Tech covers and the over hits, I'll be happy with that game as long as Texas wins, which I do have a win at Tech. Though I could see, you know, if things aren't,
it's gonna be
Tech will be a four quarter game. Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
It'll be a 3-quarter game, and y'all will be drinking beer in the parking lot before.
That was Hannah that said it would be a 4-quarter game, by the way.
Well, she'll be drinking beer in the parking lot before.
West Virginia at home. That'll be an interesting one, I think. I think West Virginia is going to be better than a lot of people give credit for.
I like JT Daniels. They just don't have enough weapons.
Yeah, I agree.
They just don't. They still have one of the Stills brothers up front. I just don't see them showing stuff.
No. I agree. I've got West Virginia as a win. Honestly, a lot of that is just because it's West Virginia at home. A lot of these I picked because it's at home. A couple of them I would have had to think a lot harder if they were on the road, but I feel like our road schedule is much easier this year than it was last year.
I would agree.
OU, half of it is because fuck OU and I'll never pick us to lose to them. Half of it is because I don't believe in Dylan Gabriel. I don't believe in Brent Venables. And I looked at their depth chart, and every year I look at the OU depth chart and I'm like, verified studs all across the O-line, verified stud at tight end, all kinds of studs across wide receivers. Even their defense, there's usually a couple names where I'm like, yeah, that's a dude, that's a guy. Their defense is usually awful. This year I looked at the depth chart and I was like, man, who the hell are these guys? And maybe they're gonna surprise me, but I think OU is down big this year.
OU lost so much talent, top end talent, when Lincoln Riley left. They lost all those transfers out. They pulled a bunch of guys in, but the ratings of the guys that they pulled in is lower than what they lost. Mm-hmm. These are guys that were struggling in other Power 5 programs, but now they're here.
Right.
So, I wouldn't say here, they're north of that river where they belong. But I'm with you. I'm not sold on Dylan Gabriel. And I've seen the kid play. He's got a lot. I'll give him that. But he makes mistakes. And in clutch situations. I think it was 2 years ago they had a chance to beat Cincinnati. The ball, I think they were either down 3 or something like that. He throws a pick 6 on like the second play of the drive. And I'm just not sold on Dylan Gabriel. I don't think he's their answer at quarterback. I don't know if they have the answer at quarterback on the roster right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Jackson Arnold is that guy for them. We'll see. I mean, they have a history of bringing in great quarterbacks, but that was under different coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you. I think Brent Venables is going to be good there. I don't think it's going to be this year.
Right.
Um, he has a specific defensive system he likes to play, and they haven't recruited to that system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have the players to fit his defensive system, and I don't think they have as many weapons as they usually have on offense. So I definitely have that game as a win for us. So that would put us what?
Oh, 5-1.
5-1
Yeah.
after Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
that's a pretty damn good year so far, if you ask me. But not absolutely unrealistic. I think if things just go tragically wrong, maybe at Tech, and OU may be the two biggest threats there. Iowa State at home.
We're favored to win every game of Bama, basically on our schedule. If you look at the FBI predictions and what's been put out so far, we're favored to win every game except for the element.
Yep. Iowa State, I think, is going to be awful this year.
They are.
I mean, they were 7-6 last year with their arguably the best quarterback in their program's history. Oh, hold on.
The Cyclones are going to go through some things.
Hannah has a question for you.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to let you go ahead and do that while she types this. But
the Cyclones lost everything. They lost Kohler. They lost, I don't even remember the quarterback's name.
Kohler.
And then they lost Brees Hall. Yeah.
They lost Brees Hall, they lost Kohler, and they lost Brock Purdy.
Yes, that guy.
And they lost one of their best receivers to us.
Because he's at Texas now. So that's another one I think could have a big year is Tariq Milton.
Yeah.
There's so many weapons.
I know.
Get one.
I know. I wanted to talk about him too, but we had to move on to something else because we'd been talking about the offense for like 30 minutes.
She's still asking for questions.
Yeah. What's OU's record going into the Red River Shootout?
I have them 3-2.
3-2. He's got them losing to Nebraska, which I don't think is going to happen. No way they lose to that dog shit team.
Honestly, I think we will see a different Nebraska team this week and next week. I really do, because Scott Frost is going to want to fucking prove something. And he's going to let his coaches do their jobs. He stepped in and made some mistakes in that Northwestern game. We all saw it. Casey made some mistakes in that Northwestern game. We all saw it. But maybe that was the second half Casey that we saw last year. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know, man. I guess I hate OU that much.
Yeah, you do. I think you do. I don't think they go. I don't think they're 3-2. I damn sure don't think they lose to Nebraska.
What if they lose to UTEP?
That would be hilarious.
Yes, it would.
I agree with Marsman. Chase says Nebraska gets the dub. Hannah says she agrees with Marsman. So you've got some believers in you. I'm sorry that I am the hater.
Hannah has Oklahoma losing to Texas Tech.
Oh, God. Hannah, what the hell's wrong with you? She's high on Tech this year. She said she thinks Tech's going to be a 4-quarter game. Hannah's a big Tech fan, apparently. That's news to me.
Who does she know out there? That's what
yeah, I'm going to have to start vetting people before we bring them in here if they think Tech's going to be good. So, okay, we both think Iowa State just lost too much to be competitive.
That's a win.
Unless they have something that just breaks out, I will be unbearable. I'm assuming that's if OU loses to UTEP. I will be too. I probably won't get off Twitter I probably won't get off Twitter for the rest of the day if UTEP beats OU. Okay.
There will be so many people getting drugged.
At Oklahoma State, I've got it as a loss, and I hate it. I hate it so much because I don't think Spencer Sanders is good. I don't. But I don't like playing in Stillwater. I know the record. I know. I think if there's one, it's going to be that one.
I'll be honest. I also have that game as a loss.
Okay.
Just because, we don't have to go to Ames, but weird shit happens in those road games in the middle of the season. It's just Texas. Weird shit happens on the road in the middle of the season for Texas. So I think that's one of our losses for the season. That's where if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I agree, and I may not think that Spencer Sanders is the guy, but they had a damn good year last year. They had a damn good year last year, and you can't really argue with a redshirt senior coming back. I mean, that's tough to beat.
Now that you look at it, though, they lost their defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. He's at Ohio State. Jim Knowles is gone. They return a lot on their defensive front.
Their defensive line is stacked.
But what's that system going to look like?
Doesn't matter. I mean, that's to a certain extent, it's guys who can ball are going to ball.
That's true.
And I don't know. I mean, their defense is, as far as classification goes, very much like Texas, almost completely made up of. I mean, their entire defensive line are redshirt seniors, and their linebacking core is experienced. The only freshman they've got on their defense, or at least according to this projection, is a safety, and he's backed up by a redshirt senior too. So I don't know. I don't know if schematically the defense is if they lean that much on scheme as much as the offense generally does. I think a lot of defenses can kind of just transition into new defenses a lot easier, unless you're changing things completely. I think it's a lot easier for the defense to make that transition.
Hey, someone's knocking on my door.
Okay. Then, all right. It's just me again. No more Mars Man. So I don't know what how he's gonna have these stacked up, but. At Kansas State, I'm also considering that a loss, unfortunately. And the only reason I'm calling Kansas State a loss is just because simply, there has to be one. It would be too good to be true to not have a stupid-ass loss for no reason. I don't think K-State is better than Texas. That's not what I'm saying when I think we lose to them. But there's always one. There's always one. We find a way. We shit the bed offensively. We can't score. We can't move the ball. So this is my one, and I'm just going to leave it at that. TCU, I think that's a pretty easy win. At home, I saw the other day on Twitter, Max Duggan hasn't even won that starting job yet, and for me, that's a huge red flag. They have 3 quarterbacks that they're going to try. And I forget his name, but he came from SMU. Let me look this up real quick. Sonny Dykes. I like Sonny Dykes, and I think he's going to do okay at TCU. But much like Shane was saying about OU and Brent Venables, it's damn sure not going to be Kansas. You're fucking right, Hannah. No way we're losing to Kansas this year, damn it. Much like Brent Venables, I think he's going to be successful. I just don't think it's this year. So I just don't think TCU has it to beat us this year, especially not at home, and really not even on the road. I mean, Amon G. Carter's got to be one of the least intimidating places in the country to play. Then we go to Kansas, and I don't love it. I don't think we lose this game. There's no fucking way we lose back-to-back to Kansas. And this will be an all-time video if we do lose. This will be an all-time video if we do end up losing to Kansas, and it will probably be replayed on Twitter for years and years and years. But I just don't see it happening. The only reason I'm really not looking forward to this game is because the only place less intimidating to play than TCU is at Kansas. G-Pat on our side now, absolutely. That's right. We stole their fucking coach, and they're just going to have to live with it. But I don't know. Every time we play at Kansas, it's boring. There's no hype for it. It's going to be on FS1 at 11 a.m. It's also the second to last game of the year, so it's either going to be okay, well, with what we've got right now is like Texas is 7-2 going to Kansas, and at that point it's like, why do we even play this game? There's no point. There's no way it helps us. The only thing it could do is hurt us. Hannah says we're winning OU in Kansas this year. That's the biggest claim I'll make. I mean, I agree. If we lose to Kansas this year, then that's a hell of an indictment on either Sark or every member of this team that was also here last year, especially on them, that they can't get up for this game, because that's a humiliating loss. And last year was bad. At home, really bad. Moving into the Baylor game. That is an interesting one for me. Oh, I think we got Shane back here. So actually, before we go to Baylor, let's bring him back in. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, I talked about Kansas State, TCU, and Kansas already. But I'm going to go back and get your thoughts and kind of rehash what I said. So I took Kansas State to win just because there's always one stupid-ass game that we always drop. For no reason. I don't think Kansas State's better than us. But I just feel like there's got to be one, and I think that's the one. In the cold, in Manhattan.
I actually have Kansas State as a win.
Okay.
Even though Deuce Vaughn is there, Adrian Martinez is the quarterback. We all know Adrian Martinez if you wanted to. So I do have Texas going to Manhattan and getting that one.
Okay. TCU. Win. Okay. I think
New
I know where your loss
staff.
is.
New coaching staff. I don't see them really challenging us this year.
That's where I also. That's kind of also what I said. I just don't think that it's gonna be. I don't think this is the year. I said it's much like how your take with Venables is like. I think they'll be good under Sonny Dykes. I just don't think it's this year. At Kansas,
they'll be good. It'll be after we're playing an SEC schedule.
Yeah. At Kansas, awkward tense moments here. If we don't blow them out by 60, then what the hell are we doing?
I honestly think, and nothing against Lance Leipold, he's bringing that program back to semi-relevance. And I say that tongue in cheek because they did beat us here last year, and that was, my God, how many mistakes did we make in that game? I mean, we handed that game to them on a platter. So, yeah. But I think we go out and we exact some revenge.
Yeah.
And that should not be a revenge game, but we're going to get some.
Unfortunately, it is, and we need to get the revenge. So your prediction was 9-3. Mine was also 9-3. And this is another game that we disagree on. Baylor. You have Baylor as a loss. Why?
I do. Baylor returns almost their entire offensive and defense. They have a competent quarterback. It's actually the quarterback that won the Big 12 title game last year. Dave Aranda is a hell of a coach. As much as I hate Waco and as much as I hate Baylor, I do think if there's I had to put 9-3, and this was the only one that I could really see last game of the year. And I think actually we wind up seeing them again in the Big 12 title game. So if we're going to lose one of those two games, I want to lose the first one.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Real quick before I give my thoughts on Baylor, Hannah said Mangino resurrected. That's a lot to resurrect, so I don't know about that.
Mangino was actually really good.
Yeah, no, he was. I called him the Earth when I was a kid because he wore the big blue jacket all the time, and he was.
Is it more like a half a Mangino?
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know if Leopold's half Mangino. He might just be a quarter.
Maybe a third.
That's the biggest. I mean, you have to be a large human to stand next to a mascot.
Leopold is a small dude.
Yeah. Well, but Mangino, is not like he is the biggest person I've ever seen in my life. He stood like he has the infamous picture next to the Orange Bowl mascot, and he makes the Orange Bowl mascot almost look small. I don't know if you've seen that picture, but
I have
yeah,
seen this. Yes, he
yes,
does.
it's incredible.
Leopold standing next to Mangino would be like the number 10.
Yeah, right. Okay, so going quickly into Baylor, I I will not obviously for a lot of you because you probably don't know, but Shane knows. I live in Waco, so I'm around this
He
program
does.
all the
Oh my
time.
God, he does.
It's terrible. Um, but I am here, and so I have like, and I work at a news station for anybody that
So,
if you're still in here and you don't know
let me ask
me,
you this.
what's up?
Let me ask you this. Do you think that stadium in Waco looks like a toilet bowl in the air?
A little bit, but here's the thing. I will give them props. It is one of the nicer stadiums I've ever been in. I went to the Baylor Texas game last year because I live right across the street from the stadium. It is a super nice stadium. I'll give them that. And they know their worth too. Like I think it seats like 40,000 people. Um, but it's nice, man, and they fill it well. And so I got to give them some credit.
I mean, if it only holds 40,000, I would hope they can fill it.
It is Waco, and it is Baylor. I mean, historically they've been awful, but I'm a really big believer in Blake Shapen, who's the guy that led them, or he kind of switched off with I forget the guy's name, but the guy that started against Texas, yeah, Jerry Bohannon. Yeah. He was, or Gary, or however the hell he pronounces it. He was terrible, and it's dry. Oh, that is true. Sorry, one of my other friends commented that the stadium is dry. Yeah, that does suck a lot.
Baptist University.
Yeah,
so
but you know what? I will also give them credit for this. If you ever go to a game at Baylor, they don't check boots or like if you tuck a flask in somewhere, they don't check for shit. I was nice and toasted leaving that game. So there are ways around it. Just pro tip for you. But anyways, I like Blake Shapen a lot. But they lost everything at running back. They lost somebody at receiver too, I think.
Yeah, they did.
I don't remember who it was, but then they also did get Armani Winfield. That'll be interesting to see how he plays.
Can I just add? I said 9-3 because I didn't want to say 10-2.
Am I convincing you that Texas is going to be Baylor?
No,
Whiskey and direct sunlight.
I see. That's the thing, though. I've gone up and down our schedule. I don't know how many times, and I have to pick a third loss if I'm going to go 9-3 because I don't want to go out there and put 10-2 out there because we all know what's going to happen if I do that.
Well, I mean, last year I think we both predicted us to be like 12-0. Obviously, that didn't fucking happen.
No, decidedly not. But and basically, I threw a dart, and Baylor happened to be the lucky one.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can't see us winning that game.
Yeah. I think
it's a home game. You know, we can score on them. We should. Then we can definitely beat them because I don't think they have the weapons on offense.
Yeah. Well, okay. We both got 9-3. Shane is like 9 or you're like more like 9.5 and 2.5.
Like, yeah, 9.5, 2.5.
I'm becoming more of a realist in my old age. That is true. That is true. I used to like Texas was 12-0 every year until proven differently. Hannah was not a part of the team. You're saving face with Billy. That's true. Hannah did not predict us to go 12-0 last year. That was me and Shane. I'll give you that.
Yeah, she just gets it part right. With Billy.
Well, so 9-3 is what we've got. You're like 9.5 and 2.5 more so. Hannah is 8-4 solid still. Just go ahead and I'm gonna keep talking, but I want you to type out who the 4 losses are, Hannah.
And I'll be straight with you. The only game on our schedule that I can out and out not see us winning. And there are ways. win it, but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
Every other game on our schedule is winnable.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all. Okay. You're breaking up pretty bad right now. I don't know if you can hear me. You're also a small box again. Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Turn into a hobbit.
I don't know. We might have to just do this when you're at home again. Okay, so Hannah said 8-4. Her solid losses are Bama and Oklahoma State, which I agree. I don't know what her not solid losses are, but I guess we'll see those in a minute. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we got off?
Probably not tonight. We can do another one again. I should be able. The Wi-Fi down here in Laredo at our terminal is not always the best. It kind of fluctuates, so I think that's probably what our problem is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay.
We could try another one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're definitely going to have more of these. Okay, questionable Tech, K-State, and Baylor. Okay. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I think we've got enough to pull out Tech and Baylor. Probably. Well, I'll be in West this weekend at West Fest.
Shoot, that is going on.
Yeah, I'm going to be under the influence of alcohol for the entire weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and make that claim. I am not responsible for the things that are said on Twitter. It was drunk me, and you can take it up with him when we play Alabama.
You know what? I will blame, even when I'm posting, I'll blame everything on you.
There we go. Oh, good. Nope. Border radio. Man. Well, send kolaches.
I do plan to do a pregame space.
Okay. Yeah.
On Saturday. So
awesome. I will try and hop on that for a little while. Friday night is probably going to be. I'll probably be intoxicated quite a bit. But Saturday before the game, I'll probably take it slow. So I'll hop in there. I'll try to hop in there Saturday before the game, and then. If I'm not doing anything, I'm not really sure what our plan is for Saturday night, but if I'm not doing anything, if you want to do a space after the game,
yeah, we can do that.
Might be able to do that too. But yeah.
If you're otherwise detained, I will handle it.
I don't think it'll get to that point. This is West we're talking about. They don't really arrest people there. It's kind of a lawless area of Texas. But all right. Thanks for hanging out. For everybody that's take it slow. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. For everybody that I don't know personally in here, which is like one or two of you at this point, but shout out to y'all for hanging around. Chase and Grace, I really appreciate y'all being here. Y'all have been real active in the chat. Love it. We're going to get better at this thing. Hopefully we'll figure out.
Yeah, we got to figure out how I can see the chat because like I told you, I have the stream up on my TV for YouTube. And I don't see the chat.
Okay. We'll have to figure that out for sure. I'm not sure how we can do that, but I'll brainstorm. Hopefully, I might try and get another one of these in. I might do like a short thing Thursday night if I can get this interview edited in time. I don't know if you're going to be able to hop on. If not, it's not that big of a deal. I'll probably
I'll be available. We might be able to get Hannah in here too.
Yeah. And look out for Hannah this year too. We're going to try and get her in on a lot of these. But yeah, these will probably be more frequent during the week than on the weekends because a lot of times I'm going to be going out to games and going out and doing stuff with friends and all that. But when I'm not doing things or if I'm at a place where I can bring my setup, I will be doing that. I can't stream mobile on YouTube, unfortunately, until we hit 1,000 subscribers. So the faster y'all get us there, the faster we get on, if you even want to see us on mobile. I don't know if that's the case. But Grace, Chase, thanks for hanging out, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. If I don't follow y'all on Twitter, but you do follow us, shoot me a DM. We'll get you a follow back.
Yeah, likewise.
Any last words?
Oh man, I'm looking at numbers. Really excited. I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to see on Saturday. Whatever that ends up being, I think it's going to be good. So, appreciate everybody hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. So we'll be doing these a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Welcome.
Alrighty, hook 'em. I'm gonna put my stream over screen just because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I paid probably too much money for these things, and I want to show them off. I'm just gonna let this and then like some Turnpike play because I like Turnpike. So yeah, enjoy that. I'll play it for like a minute and a half, and then we'll end the stream. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome, everybody.
Hook 'em. Let's kick some ass this
Good
week.
night, guys.